Welcome to another build video, everybody. I don't really know how to describe this build because it was supposed to be just a main build, simply because the idea came to my mind. It didn't sound like a very good idea, but a very fun one. So I said, okay, let's try it out, see how it works. Even if it's not good enough for clearing content fast and easy, I think it will be fun. So let's give this a shot. However, it's much more efficient than I first expected. It's much better than I first expected, and I actually clear content pretty fast. And with the same ease I would clear content if I was using a striker build or a heartbreaker build, I think. So the whole idea was to put together as much rate of fire as possible and use the farmers. However, I didn't have a good farmers with measured on it, and I tried farming for it, but it didn't really happen because I wanted to be able to change the attribute to rate of fire as well. So I want the farmer to drop either with a max attribute of rate of fire and a decent core attribute of weapon damage, so I can reroll the talent to measure, or with measured and a good core attribute of weapon damage, so I can reroll the attribute to rate of fire. That wasn't happening, so I said, okay, let's try the next best thing, and that was the new LMG, the GR9 with frenzy on it. For every 10 bullets in the magazine capacity, gain plus 3% rate of fire and plus 3% weapon damage for 5 seconds when reloading from empty. GR9 has a base magazine of 200 rounds, so that's plus 60% rate of fire as well as plus 60% weapon damage. So in my books, that's definitely better than measured. So that's definitely better than going with the farmers that I was thinking about originally. I've also rolled plus 5% rate of fire for the attribute, as you can see. And we have an 11% LMG damage and another 9% damage targets out of cover as our core attributes. Not perfect, but they're not really bad. So it's okay. I can play with them. Of course, as I said, rate of fire is everything for this build. So I have the magazine mod on my GR9 being the Nimble Link belt, which gives you plus 5% rate of fire. Then we have a laser pointer for another 5% critical hit chance and a muzzle brake for 5% critical hit chance as well. Since we want as much rate of fire as possible, we had no other choice but to go with Striker. 2 pieces of Striker offer us plus 50% weapon handling, which helps quite a lot for this build, for the recoil and the reload speed and everything like that. So it's not like it's a bonus that we don't really care about. It's something that is actually very welcome at this build. And then at 3 pieces, we get another plus 15% rate of fire, which is huge. As you can see, I decided to go with 4 pieces of Striker because since we will be constantly shooting, it will be pretty easy to maintain our stacks, and it will be even easier to actually farm for our stacks, get them up to 100, simply because of how high the rate of fire will be with this build. So until now, we have an extra 25% rate of fire without frenzy, which comes from 15 from the Striker that we just talked about, 5 from the weapon attribute, and 5 from the weapon mod, the magazine belt. So that's 25 in total. And when frenzy is active, we have a total of plus 85% rate of fire. But we can get even more rate of fire if we use the gun specialization. Rate of fire increases by 5% on kill for 5 seconds. So that makes a max of plus 30% rate of fire without frenzy and 90% rate of fire when we get frenzy. I don't know if it's possible to get more rate of fire than this. I think we have maxed everything out. In all honesty, I think that you cannot go higher. However, if you know a way that we can increase our rate of fire even more, please let me know down below in the comments. As you can see, the 5th piece of my build is the Contractor's Gloves, simply because it gives us 10% LMG damage, but also 8% damage to armor, which is a multiplicative bonus. So it's a win-win. And my last piece, of course, is Mental. Not for the short-term buff, because we will not be going out of cover that often because we are pretty squishy. We don't have any armor, so we want to play a little carefully. But for the long-term buff, because when we get 30 stacks, we'll have 30% extra weapon damage, which is a huge win in my books, as well as 3% armor regeneration, which will help with that very low survivability this build has. I had other ideas like using the Grupo Sombra because we have very low critical hit damage, as you will see later on. So I could get that 15% critical hit damage and then put vigilance on it and blah blah blah. However, I thought that Memento was the best option after all. Of course, if you don't want to go with Memento, if you don't have it, or if you simply don't like it, you can use a Grupo Sombra backpack with vigilance on it. The stats are what you would expect them to be when you're running a build with 4 pieces of gear set and a Memento, which pretty much means you're gonna lose quite a lot of attributes. So we have a total of 50% critical hit chance and 93% critical hit damage. And even though these numbers are not impressive, I will let you watch some more gameplay just to convince you about what this build can do. Just remember, sometimes it's not about how hard your bullet hit. It's not about how much damage you see in your screens for each bullet, 400, 500k, 600k or whatever, right? It's how fast your gun spit out the bullets and sends them to your enemy's face. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and if you want to support the channel, you can always subscribe. I really appreciate it and it really helps me. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye bye.
Incoming hostiles detected.